the first half, Otuado showed something. He showed defensive solidity, he showed defensive organization, and not for once did Portugal at least threaten, the goal area of Ghana in the first half. But then in the second half, I think Ghana probably got a little bit carried away by the fact that we were able to play the ball. We were then trying to play out from our defense through to midfield to offense, thinking that we might get an opportunity to hurt Portugal, especially after conceding that first penalty and going on to equalize the game. Ghana thought that this is a team that once we go on and attack, then we are going to get something out of this game. So they went on attacking, and unfortunately the defensive organization was lost.
Now, coming into this game, so many people were questioning whether these kids, the Black Stars, have the experience and the skill level to go against Portugal. What is your analysis on how they're done? On looking at their talent right now, how did they do?
Well, I think they did okay. We're quite surprised by the kind of lineup Otuado put out there. Because, for instance, in that friendly game against Switzerland, which we have been using in recent times to do our analysis of the Black Stars, we saw a different lineup altogether. We saw a different tactical approach to that game. So, thinking that coming up against another European opposition in Portugal, we are going to see something similar. We expected changes, but not to the level, with which we saw today. At least we expected Thomas Partey to play. We expected Kudus Mohamed to play. But then a lot of people didn't expect someone like Ali Duseidu to play. But to the surprise of many, he played. And for me, he was Ghana's man of the match. Although he was substituted earlier on after getting that yellow card. For me, he was Ghana's man of the match. So we didn't expect a lot of changes. The tactical approach also changed. Otuado went 4 flat in that friendly against Switzerland. And then he decided to go 5 at the back this time around. So usually, tactically, when a coach opts to go 5 at the back, it tells me one thing: when defending, you defend in 5 in a block of 5. But when attacking, you leave only 3 defenders behind for the fullbacks, that's the right back and the left back, to join the attack. But doing so, you need a lot of defenders who are attack-minded. In Ali Duseidu, a right back, at least we have someone who at Clermont-Foot has been playing in that sort of role, at least sometimes, not all the time. But Babaraman hasn't played in that role for a very long time. So you realize that whenever the ball shifts to the left, Ghana struggles to take the ball forward or to create anything meaningful forward. But whenever the ball comes to the right, at least we are able to put 1 or 2 passes together to try and break the Portuguese defense line.
How do you think they will perform against the next opponent? I think is it South Korea?
Yeah, South Korea.
Yes.
I watched South Korea this afternoon, and they are a decent team. So for me, when I look at the first half approach against Portugal, for instance, I got worried because clearly we always want to soak pressure for as long as possible and try to hit opponents on the counter. But you can't do so against an opponent that play a high intensity kind of football. And watching South Korea this afternoon, I realized that they played with a lot of intensity. They played against Uruguay, and they are a team of willing runners who will run from the first minute to the 90th minute. So they
have stamina.
Yeah, they have stamina. So I at least was a little bit scared. But then the second half performance from Ghana, although we lost, gave me something to at least smile about. Because in the second half, then we were doing a lot of running. We were at least creating more chances. Because throughout the first half, Ghana didn't have a touch in the Portugal box. But then in the second half, at least we managed to have a couple of touches, got a couple of goals. And some will say at least, but for the refereeing decision, they didn't go away because I still don't think the penalty should have stood anyway. I think the least the referee could have done in that occasion was at least to consult the VAR and then decide from there. But for him to be adamant that he was not going to consult the VAR, for me, made me smell something fishy about officiating all the same. But all the same, 3-2, not a bad result. let's look forward to South Korea and see what we'll do, because different games demand different approach. You can't compare the pedigree of Portugal to the pedigree of South Korea. South Korea, good team, all right, but then I believe we'll look at them and say this is an opposition we can play against and at least get a win.